that we can read the questions because the camera's on there. Absolutely. And I don't know how that's going to work.
Just gone live now. Okay.
So, bear with viewers. Surely it should say on here that I'm live. Don't know. Anyway.
I feel actually feel for time.
Yeah. Could someone find it on their phone and maybe passes their phone and that, because this doesn't seem to want to work. It's now asking me to log into YouTube. But we've basically now raised 100,000 for the Northwest Rear Ambulance. And I'm terrible with names and everything, though I've met these loads of times.
Andy Duncan.
Andy Duncan is here, who is one of the paramedics off the helicopter, and he's here in a car today, and you can explain to us, this isn't working.
Okay.
We thought it was. We thought we'd get it all organised, we set the camera up on a tripod, this computer, so we could read any questions that anyone's got, and now the technology's let us down, and this is why I don't do computers. But we've got a few people asking questions already. Hello from Australia. We're a bit quiet, we might have to speak up a bit. It's probably because we've gone wide with the camera. Do you want to try moving it a bit further forward, or is it going to crash? So that might be a bit better. No, now this it's got no internet, but we've got it on here. So we started doing the Murphy bumper, I think, about 4 years ago.
I'm on ground.
Yeah. You can't have a drink now. About 4 years ago, and it just kept ticking up, and then we managed about 12 months ago to add the Just Giving, not the Just Giving, the gift aid to the bottom, and that I think that's now over £6,000, £6,500. So we hit the milestone of £100,000 for the Northwest Air Ambulance about 3 or 4 weeks ago, I think it was. It was actually on a Sunday. So we said we'd do something to celebrate it, and there's a cake somewhere. I think it might be in the fridge, but we'll show you that in a minute. But if people want to ask any questions of what the air ambulance is, why they've got 5 cars, I mean, I'll ask that one first.
Yeah. We have a fleet of cars. Basically, we have 3 helicopters in the Northwest. Each aircraft has a car backup, and in the event of it going technical or the weather closes in too much, or it's at night, the cars can back up to what we do on the aircraft. Exactly the same kit, exactly the same crew. We just switch from one platform to another. And then we have a couple of backup ones as well, just in case, because cars, like helicopters, can go technical. And sometimes as well, if it's in the locality, so if it's in the vicinity of the airbase, it's quicker to just jump in the car. If it's literally at the end of the road, then we can. Essentially, the way you've got to look at these things is that the aircraft is just a delivery device. It's a delivery platform to put a team on a job and add value to that incident.
Yeah, to get saving lives straight away.
We do use them for transport, about 50 to 60% of the time, to transport patients into hospitals. But it's primarily rollers because the Northwest is such a big place. Although from Australia, people are looking for it's probably not that big. But for us, what the aircraft do is shrink that geographical footprint.
Yeah, because I suppose the Northwest, we've kind of got like big rivers and the Bay of Blackpool and Southport and even the Wirral Peninsula. You know, it's not very, though it's connected with the motorway network. It's kind of like a letter E, isn't it? You've got all these sort of offshoots, whereas you just straight across.
You've got every demographic really. You've got rural communities up in Cumbria, Cheshire, Lancashire, Mersey, and then you've got very built-up urban communities, Manchester, Preston, Woodhull, all those sorts of areas as well. So you've got a real mix of, and the aircraft fit that, but then the backup plan is to go on the car, and we use that for night, some of our night operations.
So the helicopter sort of, you don't, like a car, you just jump in and turn the key and you go. The helicopter, it takes what, 60 seconds to warm up?
In total, to lift, there's a certain safety critical briefs we have to do before we lift, and it's a checklist. And it's the paramedic in the front who's a HEMS paramedic. It's a special category. We've done called a HEMS technical crew member. They will read a checklist out, and the pilot is a challenge and response checklist about safety. Is this closed? Is that switched on? Is that turned off? All of those things. It takes about 4 minutes to get airborne from the phone going on the base to being lifted. Is about 4 minutes.
Is there ever been a time when you're not sure what to go with and the car's shot off and then Is that working now? What do we think?
Maybe
if anyone can.
Yeah.
Are we back on?
Yeah. People.
Someone saying blame Elon Musk. And to be honest, we aren't using Starlink, and we perhaps should have used the Starlink because it is more reliable. The problem is I think because we're only temporary into this office at the moment, we're not fully moved everything in. If someone's phone connects to the server and walks off, it then slows the. Is it working now? If one of you wants to go downstairs and tell all the lads to disconnect off the Wi-Fi, that will probably help. So, yeah, sorry about that. I don't know about that. Right. So people have stayed even though. How long did it crash for? Yeah, people say we're back. Well, that's a pain.
That's probably the best bit as well.
I know. Yeah, what did you miss?
All of it. All of it.
Can you see the cake? I think the camera's got the cake on, hasn't it?
And a little tilt.
Okay,
I won't tilt too far though because you never know, do you?
So
I can see it on here. So
that's the cake. So you can actually see one of the pictures was taken on Thursday, so it's a fresh cake. Yeah, people say it's back up. People are joking saying that you shot off in a helicopter. Andy's actually sweating here because he wanted to wear his suit so he was recognised. But it's about 30 degrees in here. So the just for people that don't understand, when the helicopter takes off, how many people are in it and what's their job? Obviously one of them's the pilot, that's the easy one.
So the standard configuration is 3. There's usually a minimum of 3 in the aircraft, and that's 1 pilot, 1 front seat paramedic, who's we're all classed as helicopter technical crew members, so we've done a technical course in aviation, navigation, air law and firefighting. We're there to sort of assist the pilot a little bit. Because you're going into what's called a HEMS site, which is an unregistered site, i.e. a field or a school playground or a motorway.
So what does HEMS stand for?
Helicopter Emergency Medical Services.
Right, yes.
So
there's no one's like risk assessed when you can land, basically.
Yeah. So so there's two configurations of sort of setups. Now people call us an air ambulance, which we are. But an air ambulance mission defined in the UK is a registered site, lifting and flying to a registered site. So that could be an airport. So a registered site would be base. So the helicopter's base is being surveyed. It's got lighting. It's got all the considerations it needs for aviation safety. It then flies to an airport or the helipad that's been cleared. So they're called registered sites essentially. So that's an air ambulance mission. It's non-time critical, non sort of life threatening. It becomes a HEMS mission when it becomes life or limb threatening.
Right.
So so for example, an air ambulance mission might be someone needs to go down to London for a transplant from the northwest down to London, and they need to be there within the next 8 hours because the organ is going to arrive in the next 8 hours or so. That would be, and the fastest way to get there would be by helicopter. And then a HEMS mission is where it is immediately life or limb threatening. Effectively, HEMS becomes what's called, you get a call sign, and our call signs are Helimed 72, Helimed 08 and Helimed 75, and they become Helimed 72 Alpha. Right. So Alpha call sign is your blue lights and everyone gets out of the way.
So even EasyJet move out of the way.
Everybody. And we try not, and we've got one of the busiest airports in the country in Manchester, and Liverpool as well, and we try not go into their airspace, not go into their airspace, but go into their flight paths. Very rarely, but when we have to, we have to. So it's transit from say Manchester over to sort of the sort of Glossop area of the northwest. Sometimes you do have to cross that area, the Macclesfields and sort of that Cheshire area. You do have to cross some of those areas, but we try and minimise it as well.
So would you go lower or higher than them?
We would go lower. We would go, well, they would go around sometimes, and that sometimes does happen. There's an apocryphal story from when I very first started. Someone had an incident at the field at the end of the runway at Manchester, and the aircraft landed, and they were stacking the aircraft up over Iceland, not the frozen food shop, the country. and they were radioing people to start knocking like 10 knots off their speed over the Atlantic, because the knock-on effect is then we were in there for about 20 minutes. And the knock-on effect then is massive. So we try and minimise that as much as we can.
So do you have someone at your base talking to a traffic control?
As pilot.
Yes.
There's all of that.
Yeah.
And that's why we try and take some of the workload off as the front seat crew member. Some of that workload comes through us. And then to finish your question, the third crew member will either be a paramedic or a doctor in the back. And they'll be sort of covering like the ambulance radio, because you've got essentially 3 radios going on at once. You've got air traffic control. Sometimes you can have 2 air traffic controls as you switch between areas. The ambulance radio will be giving you updates as you're getting to see this has happened, or this hasn't happened, or whatever it may be. And then in both these, you've then got what you're saying to each other inside because you're plugged into a pigtail.
Yeah. So that you get to the scene. Does everyone jump out, or just
just the crew? The clinical crew. Pilot stays with it. Pilot stays with it till the rotor's shut down. So we come out before the rotor's shut down. We walk out of the disc with all the equipment that we think we're going to need, and probably a little bit more sometimes as well, because you never know what you're going to get. We'll step out of the disc. The rotor's spinning. When it's spinning, it's called the disc. You step out of the disc. You dump your helmet somewhere on the edge, on the periphery, and the pilot will come and collect them when he's shut the rotors down, and then we'll make our way out. If it's looking a bit volatile and people are going to encroach on that aircraft, one of us might have to stay. If you've got, people who are just naturally, you land an aircraft in the middle of a park, people are going to naturally come towards it. But while those rotors are spinning, particularly the tail rotor is particularly dangerous.
Because we don't see it, do we?
No, and it will just create a lot of problems.
That's what we're about to get into the sea. Yeah, that's it. What's the best way of describing where you are? Do you use what 3 words now?
No.
Don't you?
No.
Really?
Yeah.
But you can convert a what 3 word into a longitude and latitude, can't you?
So, with your global audience, I might say tomato, and they might say tomato, and they might say flip-flops, and your Australian viewers might say thongs. So if you've got what 3 words, your regional accents will sometimes differ over a radio. They will create, and you can get some discrepancies with what 3 words occasionally. Now, other geographical navigation systems are available. I wouldn't say that. I'm not here to diss what 3 words, but it's good. 98% of the time, I would say it's good.
Yeah, well, I can't spell, so I sometimes like to.
Yeah.
But it, obviously you wouldn't just say the what 3 words. You'd say I'm in Tarver village off Water Lane.
Yes, and then the ambulance plotting system will put that in a particular location. If you say I'm outside the news agents in whichever village is closest to here, the ambulance plotting system. So the 999 system will plot that, and that will generate a what 3 words and a 10-figure grid reference. And the 10-figure grid reference is what we would, the 6-figure grid reference is what we would use.
Right. Because I've never looked at the app, and I can't because we're obviously using my phone over there and whatever now. But if you click on a what 3 word and you've got the what 3 words, does it have the long and that underneath?
Do you know what? I don't know. I don't think it does.
Maybe someone watching will try it.
Yeah, somebody could click on what 3 words for us and give CPR Latin long.
Does the pilot have a medical?
But Latin long is different to your grid reference system.
No.
So Latin long is a completely different, and there's 2 different types of Latin long as well, so it becomes even more. There's Latin long with different.
So what 3 words could be better if people.
There's probably an expert on there who's sitting there saying he is talking utter rubbish, but my experience of it is it gets a bit complex.
Yeah.
So we tend to use postcodes, and we tend to use grid references, and also as well the luxury you've got from the air as well is you don't have to be bang on. You just have to be in the vicinity, and you can tend to see from the types of activity going on. There's an ambulance there, okay. Well, in a rural location, the ambulance that might be the closest it can get.
Yeah.
And the actual patient is a mile over that hill.
Yeah.
So you tend to look, and you get a lot of walkers out on the hills, and if they're helpful, they will point in the direction of where it is. If they wave, we think it's them.
Yeah.
Now, it's nice to wave, I'm all for waving, but if we're looking for a patient, we need to point, make it quite obvious it's not me, it's him over there or her.
I wonder, should you have a bit of the thing, like you could have a campaign and say, look, if you need the air ambulance, make a cross on the floor out of anything, maybe, I don't know.
To be honest, I
Or
think,
like an international sign.
I think the bigger message, and that will affect more people, is coming from an ambulance background. Make sure your house number's visible. Dead simple. Make sure your house number's visible. If the ambulance can see it, you're more likely to get an ambulance than you are likely to get it. Because statistically, you're more likely to be visited by an ambulance or an ambulance crew than you are by an air ambulance crew.
Yeah, that's a good point. That so, like, you know, your house number isn't just to make it easier for the postman. It's that knows the route because he does it every day. It's if there's ever an emergency and you
doesn't have to, yeah. And your neighbours are doing you a favour if they've got their house number on, because if your house number 98, I know next door's either 90, 96 or 100. I can work it out.
I know someone that works in the police and he once knocked the wrong door down.
Yes.
On a dawn raid.
I have been involved in a situation where we had a concern for life and someone, not with the air ambulance, and we put the wrong door in because we had the wrong address. Now people on your channel might say, well, if you'd used what 3 words, you wouldn't have.
Well, yeah.
So.
Hello from Helibed 53, they were watching, but a job coming.
So that's the one at Coventry Airport. I don't know whether it ever gets this way, probably won't.
That's the air ambulance service. So that you'd be amazed how much cross-border work sometimes happens. We will sometimes do jobs in Yorkshire, Wales, West Midlands, and those aircraft will come over here as well, and they will do jobs for us as well.
Yeah, well, I think it was Lauren was saying before when it was the Southport thing.
Yeah.
They came from everywhere.
Westminster, Great North, we're all involved in that. I think that's probably sometimes like the humbling thing about this whole thing is nobody cares what badge you're wearing or what you're doing, as long as you're there for that person's on the floor. That's the unifying statement of all of this stuff. Is the guy on the floor or the lass on the floor. It's about them. It's not about what badge I'm wearing.
What's the furthest you've been then to sort of
Leeds. I've done it. We tend not to do transfers as much anymore. That's a very strenuous route. But in the old days, we used to do transfers down to London. So you'd refuel halfway, RAF Benson, refuel and fly to London.
Well, yeah, because you can't carry that much fuel because you've got kit and
you've got to have a certain amount of fuel in reserve just in case you get a problem.
Yeah.
Especially over a massive urban conurbation like that, you really don't.
Because they have to be twin engine as well. Though.
Yes, for that type of category, they need to be a twin engine aircraft. And in London, you follow the Thames. So if you ditch, you go in the route.
Someone is saying when they've called an ambulance, they put the hazard lights on the car on the driveway. That's a good idea, isn't it?
Put lights on in the house, put hazard lights on, just make sure your number is visible. That then helps us in the long run because we can see where that activity is going on. That's the area we need to be.
So someone said, how much is the helicopter? And someone else has answered 3 million.
Yeah.
Is that about right?
About 3 million, yeah. But our aircraft, because we spend our money wisely, some people might say we're tight, but we spend our money wisely. So these aircraft range from 2003, 2005 age on them. But because we tend to do 15 to 20 minute circuits to jobs and back or to hospital, the amount of hours flying on them is actually it's like having, a 15, 20-year-old car, but only ever gone to the shops in it. Essentially, because they're quite short legs. For aircraft grade engines, they're quite short legs, so therefore by default they are, and we've just upgraded them to give us more fuel capacity and more features inside that we can utilise.
Well, how do you do that then? Just take something out you don't need and replace it with something lighter, or?
You start reconfiguring the engines and changing all sorts of other things.
Right.
Really technical stuff. There'll be an aircraft engineer in here who will be able to answer that. But for me, they remap certain things and the engines get an upgrade and you get more lift capacity so you can carry more fuel because everything's on weight. It generates about a 3.5 ton downdraft. The aircraft weighs about 2.8 tons. I weigh about 95 kilos pre-holiday, not quite
Pre-Christmas.
And in total we lift with about 100 kilos of lift capacity under lift, so about 3.4 tons in total mass weight.
Have you ever got someone that's been a bit too heavy and you're like,
We will do an assessment on them. It's sometimes not too heavy because the stretcher will take up to 150 kilos, so about 23 to 24 stone.
oh right,
It's physically whether or not we can fit them in, because as they go into the aircraft, there's almost like a tunnel area at the back where the stretcher slides in because it's all quite tight space-wise. And
have a thing like Ryanair, how is it?
Yeah.
You don't fit in the box, you ain't getting in the helicopter.
and
If
sometimes
you're carrying a bit of timber,
we have to make that assessment.
yeah, you
and
need
say, right,
to go on a diet.
we need to go by the road. We're going to put them back on us, and we're going to go with them. We're going to travel with them. We're going to help them do whatever we need to do, treat them en route, as it were. But you know, and sometimes it's the type of stuff where you can't dither. You need to say, right, really rapid assessment. Right, we've got by the road.
The blood as well. Someone trying to explain that to me. You carry blood in your helicopters,
Yes.
but
Yes.
not all of them do.
Yes, they do.
Oh right.
In fact, we were talking earlier on, and if you're tuning into Grenada North West tonight, on our BBC North West,
Oh, right.
you'll find out what the answer is to that. But I'll tell you because well, I've answered.
Yeah, we've got
Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. So you've raised £105,000 for us. I did some really quick calculations. I reckon that is roughly a year's worth of blood that you've just paid, or your supporters have just paid for the North West. So
Yeah.
we're going to give blood to, on average, about 45 to 50 people a year. So you've just made an impact on 45 to 50 people's lives that they will never ever know about. But your supporters have done that.
So there's all different types of blood though, isn't it? So do you have like,
There's a universal one.
oh is there?
We use O negative. O negative.
What, you can give that anyone?
Anybody like that, yeah. Now there is a shortage, so there's a public health message for you as well.
Yeah.
If you are O negative blood, please donate blood.
I don't know what I am.
Because when you go down...
When I was on medication for my Crohn's, it's like, oh, you can't give blood.
So much okay. When you're on medication.
Yeah.
Right. So certain people can't give blood, that's fine. I'm one of them. I can't give blood because I've had a blood transfusion.
Oh right.
So I'm one of the people who's had a blood transfusion, therefore you're not allowed to give blood ever again, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So, but if you can give blood, if you can't afford to give Ollie a fiver or the North West Air Ambulance a fiver, that's fine. I understand that people's financial situations is, but if you can afford to give blood, it's free. You get a custard cream at the end of it and a brew.
Does that have a shelf life?
It's separated into two separate units. So fresh frozen plasma is separated out of the whole blood content, and that's frozen. So that has, you'd have to ask someone who works in haematology to work out what, but it's got a pretty long
That's a
shelf
big
life.
word from
It's got a really, I'm sorry. It's got a really long shelf life. But the pack red cells has about 28 days. We get it for 24 hours. Then it goes back into the hospital and they use it within 5 days.
Yeah.
So we take it for a day. If we don't use it, it gets transported by our friends and partners, Northwest Blood Bikes and Lancashire Blood Bikes as well, up to the bases. They take it back into Salford Royal, and they then use it in the hospital. So it never goes to waste.
Is there ever a little bit of rivalry between your team and the hospital with the normal road ambulances?
Never. We never want to get there first. No, because these people are out. We've all come from that background. We are exactly the same. The Northwest Ambulance Service is where we draw our staff from, our paramedic staff from. So anybody who wants to be an air ambulance paramedic, join the Northwest Air Ambulance, join the Northwest Ambulance Service. And that was my career path. I'm still a member of staff of the Northwest Ambulance Service. I'm on permanent hold. They've thrown me out to be work the ambulance.
But like, is that like everyone that's an ambulance driver's dream is to do? Well, I suppose there'll be some of them that will like, I know.
Ollie, you can't call them ambulance drivers. Oh man. Oh God. Oh man.
Paramedics?
Either paramedics or ambulance technicians.
Technicians?
Yeah.
Why don't they change oil filters as well?
Different type of technician. So what you've got to remember, you work on a farm, don't you?
Or you do everything?
So at some point, you might need an ambulance crew.
Yeah.
So it's really important that you get a message out there now to all those ambulance crews watching, because you never know, if you're in severe pain, they might say, No, you called me an ambulance driver.
What do you drive there?
Yeah, both the paramedics and technicians are both trained on blue light driving. So, the configuration of an ambulance in the UK is a paramedic or an ambulance technician, emergency medical technician, will drive on blue lights either, and they'll swap about. And if the patient's sufficiently ill, the paramedic will go in the back with them, the technician will drive, but they both take turns in blue light driving.
Yeah, so they're all paramedics trained to drive.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they're not ambulance drivers. It's like you know a blue touch paper if you like to call them an ambulance driver. See what happens. I seem to have chopped my leg off on my baling machine. Well, that's kind of smart, isn't it? It seems as I'm only an ambulance driver.
Well, someone's got to drive it, but you've got to have the skills, haven't you? So is the fireman the same then? What's the technical term for a fireman now? They don't. It's emergency. What do they call them now? They don't call them firemen, do they?
Firefighters. They're all firefighters now. I think.
But
it's not
I think
it's not my emergency
aren't they like
service,
emergency rescue people now?
Oh, they've always been fire and rescue, FRS, fire and rescue service.
Yeah,
They've always
yeah.
been fire and rescue
Yeah,
service.
because you don't actually go to fires that often now, do they really?
Yeah,
Well, I spoke to one once and they might get a couple of fires a week, but
Yeah.
they get a road accident
Yes,
every
yeah,
day.
it's
Don't
been
they?
more
They've got
common
to
for
come
roads, yeah.
chop rescue people out,
Yes.
haven't they?
So we got any more questions?
And I've seen what's the lifespan of the aircraft. I've not got my readers.
Oh, yeah,
I
yeah.
can see that. We will run them until they become obsolete. Really, I think the thing about an
So you get
aircraft.
scrappage on them.
Yeah, you can buy scrap at EPC 135s. We use Eurocopter 135 T2 Pluses to the end.
But you could buy second hand.
Yeah.
Like you said, the hours are low,
Yeah.
but you just have to
And,
put the interior in.
The trick with any aircraft is the backup support system. It's things like parts, engineering, maintenance. If that starts to dwindle and the popularity of that aircraft drops, that starts to be affected.
Someone said, have you got two?
We've got 3. We've got 1 in Blackpool and we have 2 in our Barton base. Cost per hour to run a helicopter is upwards of 600 quid. Possibly. Our missions roughly tend to be about £5,000 per mission, give or take. So each mission is about £5 grand. That includes everything. You know, people think that the air ambulance runs on big things, but it's actually little things that it runs on. It runs on enough paper in the copy machine, you know, the mundane stuff. But without it, you know, or have you got a 10mm syringe in the stores to go back in the bag when you just used one, all that sort of stuff.
When I visited Barton, you flew off
Yeah.
and come back and you stood down because someone else got there, and then you topped it back up with fuel. I was amazed how little fuel it used.
Yeah.
I think it used something like 16 litres
Yeah.
or 40. I thought you'd be like,
No, they're very few, and that's why we use these aircraft, because they're very fuel efficient. They're very relatively cheap to maintain in aviation terms. Nothing's cheap in aviation, but relatively cheap to maintain and relatively cheap to operate, and very, very reliable.
How long can the helicopter stay in the air?
Fuel wise, I'm not good at maths, so this is why there's a pilot sat next to me. But we tend to have enough resilience of fuel. So there's 90 kilos of fuel that we should never ever go into.
Right.
And it's identified on the fuel gauge as 45 litres in that one, 45 litres in that tank, and then the main tank usually has about 310 kilos.
Oh, is that all then? I mean, because aren't they like thousands of horsepower?
Yes, yeah, it's phenomenal. Like the little tiny jet turbine that sits in there is phenomenal output power.
We might have just had a bit of a blip because it started spinning on
Spinning
the screen.
But yeah, about £5,000 per mission, and can stay in the air probably for about an hour and a half without any further resilience.
What's that on? Stay in the air. We've done that one.
It's worth a donation just to see them sweat.
In this room.
That's just people saying it crashed before.
Yeah, we're okay. There was a question before about whether the pilots need medical training.
No. However, because we work with them for so long, they gradually pick up by just a process of being there and being exposed to it, and they'll sort of get stuff ready for you. They'll say, "Can you grab us the whatever?" And they'll have it out, and they'll have cables up ready. And
Yeah, because if they go to an emergency, they don't want to feel like a spare part, do they? So,
But equally though as well, we sort of have to try and look after them because they've got a very specific job to do. If we need to fly, they're going to fly. So if we're dealing with, if we load a patient on, we try, you know, it's difficult sometimes, but we try and not get them involved in loading, because if they hurt themselves or twist something or hurt something, they'll probably never tell me, if I'm honest. They'll just go, no, I'm alright, I'm not crying, and then they'll crack on. But if we take them out, then we're very safe.
so you've been in that much, you not think you can master it now?
No, absolutely not. I have no hand-eye coordination whatsoever. Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Has anyone got any other questions?
The girls at the back of the room had some good questions.
Go on.
I googled firemen, it is firefighters.
Firefighters.
I can confirm you got that right, Andy.
I don't be trolled online for misnaming something.
Yeah. I suppose it'd be good. We spoke about the blood being a resource. But I suppose it's just highlighting that is two charities working together. Like it's just to highlight that
I
we
don't know
wouldn't
whether
have
you
blood
can
on.
hear from behind the camera, but do you want to come in?
Yeah.
But not the setup.
I know, yeah, the setup. No, you just briefly mentioned about
No, not me. I'll move over for you. Sorry.
get cosy. No, I just think it's just to go back to the blood on board, because that is so crucially important, and Ollie has the supporters in helping to raise that. It's just to really highlight that is two charities, and if we didn't have two charities working together in harmony, we wouldn't be able to do blood transfusions, we wouldn't be able to save lives in that way.
Because when you said 100,000, it's enough blood for a year, I was like, that doesn't sound that impressive.
Oh.
I mean, a tail rotor.
But to that patient, and also that patient's family and their friends and their work colleagues, that is probably the difference between tipping them back towards a good outcome versus a bad outcome. And that is immeasurable.
Because we're the only ones that carry blood, aren't we?
On all three.
Yeah.
All three.
The standard ambulance service won't carry blood.
You won't get
Yeah,
blood
many
on
people don't know that a normal land ambulance doesn't carry blood on board.
Really?
Yeah,
I
that's why
didn't
it's
know
so
that.
unique to us and why the money's so important, because it
so-
actually funds.
And it's such a valuable resource that you've got to be really selective.
And that's our rapid response vehicles as well as our helicopters.
So yeah, that's the yellow car. So you'll see later on that the yellow car's been here today. Are there instances you cannot respond?
We are sometimes defeated by weather. I did a job in the lakes probably a week ago. Somebody on top of a very big hill that was covered in cloud, and physically to get there by air, the cloud was lower than the height of the hill. So weather will defeat us occasionally, but pretty much other than weather, we can certainly make an effort to get there with that.
We operate at night now, don't we?
Yeah, so the night car that we run from 6 p.m. Till 2 a.m. Now has a power and dock on it, so that's available. And you mentioned it earlier on about the road network. The road network in the northwest is phenomenal. You know, the M62, M6, M60, M55, God knows, you know, go on and on and on and on. You can be pretty much in from Manchester city centre to Liverpool city centre in about 30 minutes at night, because there's nobody on the road, and it's, you know, you can move quicker on empty motorways. So the road network at night is really useful for us. Flying at night brings its own limitations as well.
Yeah.
Now we are trialling a night flying trial in October this year. To flight night.
What's the biggest challenge at night? Electric cables?
Yes, pretty much. Your landing sites become more limited.
Yeah.
Now it might mean that during the day, you know, somebody's had an accident on this farm. There's a dirty great big field there, and I can land in it. During the day, I can see that safe. And safety is a massive issue, a massive thing. It has to be safety culture. At night, the nearest field that's accessible that we think we can see from the air might be a quarter of a mile that way. So suddenly you've moved the aircraft and the crew further away from the patient than they needed to be. And you balance that up with speed in the air versus driving on the road.
Has weather ever rolled in and allowed you not to take off?
Yeah, absolutely. Closed in around us, stuck there for, up to 6 or 7 hours sometimes. And at which point we'll then get a car, go and get the crew, put them back online, but put them back online on a car.
Yeah.
And unfortunately the pilot has to stay with the aircraft until he can get out.
Yeah. Someone says if you tried a jetpack.
No. As I said, I've no hand-to-eye coordination, so I would end up being a casualty.
How long have you been on the aircraft for?
After you stopped driving the ambulances?
12, being an ambulance driver. 12 to nearly 13 years.
Oh, right.
13 years coming up. I've been with the ambulance service for 20 years, or 21 years this year. 21 years this year, and I've then progressed through the system.
What's been your proudest moment?
Ooh, that's a good one. I suppose because I lead a team, I've seen things that have developed within the ambulance service, and within the air ambulance, and the things that have developed within the air ambulance have been, made possible by exactly what you've done, by people raising money for us, and it's like people put us on a pedestal, and we're not. We're just like everybody else. We come, we do a job, and we do what we love to do, but we do it in a really, sort of unique environment. Let's put it that way. But I think the proudest thing for me is to see that team go off and do stuff. And I'm on admin this afternoon. I'm not live on an aircraft today. I'm on admin, so I'll go back to base, and the crew will go out and they'll go and do a job, and they'll come back and go, yeah, we did this, we did that, we did that. That 7 years ago was like, oh my God, that's like groundbreaking. And now we take it as the norm and see that team growing.
And you go home at night and think, yeah, we've saved lives.
I can't ever sit and think that it's about one person. It's never
No,
about,
but I mean,
never about one.
Without the helicopter, it would,
But then you then go back to things like, so the local volunteer who's a first responder for the ambulance service, who will come in their own car, get a pager message or a text message as it is now. They'll go and say, Mrs. Miggins has fallen over in such and such a street, and she hasn't fallen over, she's in cardiac arrest.
Yeah.
They've gone along, they've put the defib on, they've started the CPR, the ambulance crew have then arrived. The land ambulance crew have then arrived, they've done their bit, they've added a bit more. And then what we do as a team, we then add a bit more to that. So every one of us has added the best chance for Mrs. Miggins.
Yeah, but I just mean so like if someone's bleeding and you've got blood and you've got the 20 minutes before anyone else could, or the top of a hillside and you've had to restart somewhere, there's got to be times when you've thought,
I've never thought. Really? Yeah, genuinely, because it's about everybody else. You get members of the public, they will be on a hillside and their friend will arrest, who are in cardiac arrest, they'll start CPR. And I do this for a living, they don't do that for a living. So my sort of thought process is, what impact's that on them? That's horrific, that's horrendous, their family, their whatever it may be, best mate from school, whatever it might be. I'm too, I would use the word humble, but I'm too in awe of everybody else to think, am I brilliant? Because I never think that. I think when you start thinking that, you've lost what's important.
but when you turn up at a job, people must be so pleased that you've arrived.
And if it's me or not.
No, it won't go to me. I mean,
It's the ambulance driver.
If you're in like an horrendous situation, you're trying to keep someone alive, and you appear out of the sky, the relief must be amazing. Everyone must hug you.
It's a double-edged sword, because people think if we turn up, it's the worst possible thing that could ever happen.
Oh yeah,
so
it's a bad crash there,
so
and everything.
Yeah. And sometimes it's not. We just don't know enough about what's going on yet.
Yeah.
As in the 999 system is they've made a call. We just don't know enough about what's going on. So we send resources, whatever that might be, whether it's paramedics, technicians, fire, police. We send these people, and then we gradually get a bigger picture of what's going on. Air ambulance turns up, and we go, actually, we're not needed because it's not as bad as what was first thought.
Yeah. And you can't really educate people to say don't panic, because then there'll be times when
it's horrendous.
You've got
the 999 system relies on people doing something probably for the first time in their lives, ringing one of their family or one of their friends has had a really bad accident or whatever's happened to them. Their stress levels are through the roof, and the information you get from those people then can dictate the response they're going to get. And you can't say, you know, you're right, you can't say to people, don't panic, because, you know, how to calm someone down is to tell them to calm down.
Yeah.
Never works.
Well, I would probably get on with it.
Sorry.
Time it.
Sorry.
I was just thinking. I don't know what time it went live. Does it say on there?
We've been live for 44 minutes.
Oh right, okay. Well, maybe we'll wrap it up in a bit because otherwise you'll never watch it back. You obviously will go out to a job, and then you know you'll then try and sort what you need to do and then get back.
Yeah.
And then if there's another call, but have you ever gone somewhere and it's been like you're there for hours because there's just so much to do?
Yes, in the sense that you tend to be sort of coordinating stuff a little bit at times.
Get like someone's got a bad back injury.
Yeah, the extrication
the car
can take a while. Yeah, the extrication can take a while. Our jobs tend to last about an hour, roughly.
Yeah.
We tend to be there, and then turn around time, get to hospital, hand the patient over, do whatever intervention you need to do. You tend to be about an hour. It's one of the reasons I chose this job.
The other thing I'd never thought about, if say if there's a crash on the M62 and you're there,
Yeah.
and then you've just finished, and then the next thing is there's another one on the M55.
Yeah.
Will you have to go back to base, or will you just look what fuel you've got and go, yeah, we can get there?
So we can go. We'll have exactly that conversation.
Yeah.
Have we got enough fuel to go to so and so? Yeah. Have we got enough kit? Yeah. We tend to carry about enough for about 2 or 3 jobs in our kit bags.
Yeah.
And in the aircraft as well as spares. We will have that conversation with the pilot. Have we got enough fuel? Is the weather? Is the light? You know, is there enough light to do it? All of those sorts of things will go on. And occasionally, what we might do is he might dump us at saying, we'll get out, we'll clear off, saying we'll take what we need with us out of the aircraft and in the kit bags. And he might fly off, get some fuel, come back for us.
And will he go anywhere that's the closest?
Whatever he needs to do. Liverpool Airport, Manchester Airport, a little grass runway up in the middle of nowhere where there's fuel, Walney Island maybe in Barrow, there's fuel there, or go back to Barton or Blackpool Airport, refuel and then come back to us.
So if you're on a job and it's going well and the ambulance drivers are around,
so you keep saying it.
Then another call comes in, can you say, look, are you alright lads, we're off kind of thing?
Yes, yeah, and if we've got to a point where I'm happy that this patient doesn't need anything more from us, are you guys happy to take over and accept, it's all about mutual agreement, and then we'll hand over the land crew and then we'll clear off and we'll go do
The land crew.
and see how we go. Yeah, sorry, that's the terminology.
It's maybe that.
Sorry.
Lots of planning goes into every job. I don't really understand that because
Sorry.
someone says there's a lot of planning goes into every job.
To be fair, the planning's in the preparation. The preparation is well in advance of any job. We practice, we drill, we train, we teach each other. We've done these jobs before, and you come back and you bring that experience back, and we discuss. Sometimes on a monthly meeting, we'll discuss what we did, why we did it, what the outcome was it good, was it bad, and from that we'll learn from each other. So the prep and the planning is in there. The job, bell goes within the area in 4 minutes. We'll deal with how we're going to get down when we get there. We'll see what it's like. Everywhere's different. It could be here, or it could be Piccadilly Gardens in Manchester City Centre. Loads of fields, loads of space. Piccadilly Gardens, quite tight. And then we'll deal with that when we get there. And then when we get out, we'll go to start prejudging stuff. You start being biased as to which treatment plan or what you're going to do.
Yeah, I was just thinking as well, is there certain days you think we're going to be busy today? Is it when people are all
School holidays. School holidays, warm weather. Weekends with warm weather, people go out, they do more, they're out and about more. They're more likely to have accidents. October, November, clearing leaves out the gutters. Lots of people. There were up ladders, falling off ladders and banging over.
and then obviously when it's icy,
Yeah.
that'll be the worst.
No, it's random. It's really random. People get into accidents and get themselves into problems and become a problem randomly.
Yeah.
The aircraft, when I left the base this morning, I left the base about 9:30, and the aircraft had been out 3 times. Both aircraft had been out. One had been out once, and the other aircraft had been out twice already at 9:30.
Wow.
So it's random.
Yeah.
When it happens.
Yeah. So
someone's asking about the squat. So, what's the number one reason you call out for?
Medical characteristics.
That's heart attack.
And as in the heart's no longer functioning, cardiac arrest, they are effectively dead and we're going to try and resuscitate them. And it's by far, we talk about accidents and road traffic accidents, shootings, stabbings, falls from height, all of those sorts of things. They're sort of, I would say, probably 50% of the workload. About 48% of the jobs we go to is medical cardiac arrest.
So, what can people do to stop that? Is it getting your blood pressure checked? Is it?
Yeah, it's
Exercise.
the preventative stuff. It's all, as we said, a lot of planning goes into admission, but it's actually preparation.
Yeah.
All that blood pressure, keeping in touch, doing a bit of fitness. I'm definitely not fitness fanatic, but eating well, exercising when you can, walking somewhere instead of driving, getting your blood pressure checked, staying in touch with the GP, and getting regular checkups, and taking action if it's needed. You can sign up to be a first responder. You can be a volunteer to be a first responder with the ambulance service. They will give you some training. If you're successful, they'll give you some training. It's voluntary. You can volunteer with the charity. We will train you how to use a DFib as well. All of the charity staff are trained how to use a DFib and do basic first aid. There's a charity. Every charity Northwest Air ambulance shop has got a DFib attached to it because it is the number one killer. Is heart disease and cardiac arrest, or subsequent cardiac arrest.
Yeah.
It's the biggest loss of life.
Can you do over water course?
We can do short runs over water because we don't carry floats or a dinghy. We have to be within 20 minutes of land.
Oh, right.
Now it's a long way to swim. It's 20 minutes from land.
So technically, you could get to the Isle of Man then.
You could from a certain point in St Bees in Cumbria.
Right.
You fly up to St Bees, I know this because I did it a long time ago. Fly off St Bees, and exactly at the halfway point, you are 20 minutes from the Isle of Man.
But it's
20
still
minutes
40 minutes, even though you can see it.
Yeah.
Isn't it? I thought it'd be less than that.
Yeah.
Because I know when you look out to sea in the curve of the Earth, that's 27 miles. I think.
Yes. Yeah.
You were just saying about congratulations and stuff like that. So, is there how many people are watching? Because it doesn't say on this one.
62.
All right, it's not many. Then it's dinner time. People are working.
Is there any one job that stands out for you? No. I've got to be honest. This is going to sound really bad, but I'm going to be honest with people because they've asked me an honest question. After so long, everything seems to blend into one. And there are jobs. There are certain jobs that I won't talk about, but they all seem to blend into one. That sounds really bad. I met someone's mum the other week in Cumbria, and the job was in Cheshire. And she went, "Oh my God, I know you." I went, "Oh my God, I know you." And we were chatting, "How is she?" And she's doing really well and all this stuff. And I met it was a mum, and it was like, and then I'd forgotten about that job until I met her. It's really weird. And yeah, that sounds really sad, doesn't it? That sounds really bad.
No, I get it. It's because you're doing it every day. It's just
it becomes like the norm, and you have to remember that isn't the norm for other people.
Yeah.
That was the worst day of that woman's life, bless her. So yeah, I have to remember that.
Yeah. I suppose we better end the line
Yeah.
now anyway. Do we cut the cake on the live? Is that what the
It's
protocol
there for you
is?
if you want it.
I can't eat my own face.
let's nibble the corner off it, shall we? Should we I don't know, is that filming?
It is.
We'll take this little corner out here and then we can ceremonially eat it to the corner.
Scalpel if you want it. Scalpel.
There you go.
Thanks very much.
Right, there we go.
Right.
It's the thank you everyone, because it wasn't, is it putting down now, or was it putting back up? It wasn't me that raised the money, it was everyone that donated that raised the money. I just read the names out, so thank you very much.
Thanks a lot.
I will end the live now, I think. I don't know whether you can see which button to press, but